Hello, my student. I'm your biology teacher, Cik Govind. So our topic today is chapter 11, inheritance, and our subtopic is 11.2, dihybrid inheritance. Here are the learning standard. Learning standard number 1, describe the meaning of a dihybrid cross. Number 2, explain a dihybrid cross based on Mendel experiments. Number 3, construct dihybrid cross diagrams. Number 4, determine genotype and phenotype ratio of filial generation in a dihybrid cross. And number 5, describe Mendel's second law. In previous lesson, we learned about monohybrid inheritance. Monohybrid involve only one characteristics, but in dihybrid inheritance, involve inheritance of two characteristics. Each characteristic is controlled by a different genes located at a different locus. Look at this diagram. This diagram shows a schematic diagram of dihybrid inheritance between two purebred parents to study the characteristics of pea plants, namely the seed color and seed shape. Okay, the two purebred parents either have a pair of homozygous dominant allele or a pair of homozygous recessive allele. Fertilization between two purebred parents produce offspring in F1 generations with dominant trait of rounds and yellow seeds. Okay, this one is two purebred parent used in fertilizations, purebred constricted and green seed. This is a purebred recessive traits. This is the purebred dominant traits. So seed shape characteristics is controlled by a pair of capital letter B and small letter b allele, and seed color is controlled by a pair of capital letter K and small letter k alleles. Only the dominant trait, namely the round and yellow, are absorbed. Okay, this is the Punnett square when we cross between the gamete or dominance homozygous uh, dominance and homozygous recessive. So the result here is this one is round and yellow. This one also round and yellow, and this one also round and yellow, because only one recessive allele presents in these combinations of two characteristics of this offspring. So the dominant allele will suppress the recessive allele in this filial 1 generations of the genotype and the phenotypes. This diagram shows the self-cross filial 1 generation between two heterozygous dominant, which is round and yellow seeds. And this is the filial 1 genotype. There are two characteristics involved here, which is the seed shape and the seed color. You can see here the genotype here, there are combination of dominant allele and recessive alleles. And this is the meiosis process. And this is the possible gamete produced during formation of gamete. Any allele for seed shape can pair with any allele for seed color. When the filial 1 generation was self-crossed, 16 filial 2 genotype combinations are produced. Here are the 16 combinations of genotype produced, and there are 4 phenotype characteristics of filial 2 generation can be observed, okay, which is round and yellow, round and green, constricted and yellow, and constricted and green. There are 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dominant trait for round and yellow. Okay, both are dominant trait. And there are 3 combinations of dominant trait and recessive trait, which is round and green. 1, 2, 3. This is the green is the recessive trait and round is dominant trait. And there are 3 combination of dominant trait and recessive trait, which is round is dominant trait and this one constricted is the recessive trait for seed shape, and yellow is the dominant trait for seed color. 1, 2, 3, and there is only one carry both are recessive trait, which is constricted and greens. So the ratio of the phenotype in filial 2 generation is 9, 3, 3, 1. Okay, 9 is carry the dominant trait, 3 is carry combination of dominant trait and recessive trait for round and green, and 3 carry the combination of dominant trait and recessive trait, which is constricted and yellow seed, and 1 only carry the both are recessive trait. Okay. Mendel's second law. Mendel introduced Mendel's second law, also known as law of independent assortments, which state during gamete formation, each allele from a pair of alleles can combine randomly with any allele from another pair of alleles. Okay, this is the summary of Mendel Dihybrid experiments. New combinations of characteristics are produced in the filial 2 generation, namely constricted yellow seed and round green seed. Constricted is the recessive trait and yellow seed is the dominant trait, and round is the dominant trait and green seed is the recessive trait. So this is the new combinations in the filial 2 generations. When two characteristics, which is seed shape and color, are combined in filial 1 generations, but later they separate and react freely in the F2 generation, which is carry the ratio of 9, 3, 3, 1. There are 16 combination of different genotype produced when we cross it, we use the Punnett square. Formative practice 11.2. Here are the question. Question number 1. Mendel performed cross between pea plants to study two characteristics, namely flower positions and flower color. Which type of inheritance is this? Okay, this one involves two characteristics, so this one is dihybrid inheritance. If only involve one characteristic, we call it monohybrid inheritance. Okay, question number 2. The following table show the hybrid cross between two pea plants. Which filial 1 generation phenotype are probably produced? So when we look at this table, parental phenotype, round and yellow seed are dominant trait, constricted and green seed are recessive trait. So when we look at parental genotype, these are heterozygous dominants and this one is homozygous recessive. Okay, for this one we have to draw the Punnett square. Let's say this one are female, this is gamete for female, and this one is the gamete for males. Okay, for constricted and green seed are male, and yellow and round seed are female. So when we cross it, this one produce the heterozygous dominant, which is round and yellow, and for this one is greens and round shape. Green is the recessive trait, round is the dominant trait. And we look at this one. Okay, this one is yellow, which is color of yellow is the dominant trait, and the constricted shape is the recessive trait. And we look at this one, and this one carry both are recessive trait, which is constricted and greens. Green and constricted is the recessive trait. Okay, so the answer is round and yellow seed, round and green seed, constricted and yellow seed, and constricted and green seed. That's all for today. See you in next lesson. Thank you and bye-bye.